Good evening, here are tonight's top stories. Karen Bruce's cybercrime case remains unresolved after 2 years. WDRH NICU staff have been recognized for saving the lives of 2 premature babies. Police are investigating a serious accident on the Sdik Lyon Highway. GDF ranks have handed over narcotics to the police. Vybz Cartel and his co-accused have been acquitted in a high-profile murder case. The senior minister of finance has presented over $40 billion in financial papers to the National Assembly, and a new family violence bill has been passed in the House. Venezuela's president has cut ties with 7 countries amid an election controversy. The trial concerning the 2020 election fraud is facing delays over evidence disputes. The Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation is celebrating the successful treatment of a young gunshot victim. Stay tuned for the details of these stories. Please remember to like, share and subscribe to our channel for more news.
Karen Bruce's cybercrime case still unresolved after 2 years. More than 2 years have passed since award-winning photographer and local video producer, Karen Bruce, was charged with a cybercrime amidst accusations of being the foul-mouthed Madwata cartoon character on YouTube. Despite the long wait, Bruce is still awaiting a resolution to clear his name. This morning, Bruce returned to the Diamond Magistrates Court, hoping for a decision in his case. However, Magistrate Sunil Scarce informed him that he would have to come back at a later date, as the written ruling was not yet completed. Bruce expressed his frustration, highlighting how the ongoing court case has severely impacted his business, personal life, and family over the past 2 years. Charged in April 2022, Bruce allegedly used a computer system to subject another person to public ridicule, contempt, hatred, or embarrassment. The charge stemmed from an investigation into a complaint by local reporter Leroy Smith about the online cartoon character, Madwata. Bruce has consistently denied being Madwata, and argued that the prosecution's case is based on a statement from Mikhil Rodriguez, known as the Guyanese critic, who allegedly inserted himself into the matter. Bruce stated, "The only reason I was even charged is because the Guyanese critic lied on me, and said I told him that I was Madwata. Mr. Smith, who is the virtual complainant in the matter, never mentioned me in his complaint." The businessman lamented the continuous delays, stating, "The dates are continuing to protract over and over. I was supposed to get a ruling since the 3rd of this month, and I appeared 2 times after that. This is the 2nd time after that, and there is a postponement again." While Bruce appreciates the magistrate's thoroughness in wanting to complete a written ruling, he finds the prolonged process surprising, given that it involves only 1 civilian witness. He hopes that the next court appearance will finally bring an end to his ordeal. The Madwata character, known for releasing satirical videos targeting local politicians and public figures, has been a contentious figure on social media for several years. Bruce maintains that he is not behind the character and looks forward to having his name cleared. Vybz Cartel and co-accused acquitted in high-profile murder case. Entertainer Vybz Cartel and his co-accused were acquitted on Wednesday after the Court of Appeal decided not to retry them for the murder of Clive "Lizard" Williams. The judgment was delivered by a 3-judge panel comprising Justices Marva McDonald Bishop, Paulette Williams, and David Fraser. Before the ruling, a brief summary was provided to the public to explain the decision. The case, which has garnered significant attention since the charges were first brought, has elicited mixed reactions from the public. Vybz Cartel, whose real name is Aditya Palmer, and his co-accused have remained in the spotlight throughout the protracted legal battle. The ruling has brought relief to Cartel's supporters while simultaneously raising questions about the legal process. The decision marks a significant turn in a case that has been followed closely by fans and critics alike. GDF ranks hands over narcotics to police. Ranks from the Guyana Defense Force, GDF, Coast Guard Unit in Berbice, Region 6, found 10 parcels of suspected cannabis weighing 135 pounds, which were handed over to the police yesterday. The GDF ranks were conducting Coast Guard patrol duties in the Berbice River when they observed a boat approaching but suddenly changing direction in an attempt to flee. The patrol pursued the boat, which ran aground onto the shore, and 3 identifiable occupants exited the boat and escaped. The boat was towed to the Coast Guard base, where, on inspection, the ranks observed 10 bulky parcels wrapped in black garbage bags and clear transparent plastic marked B20 in blue marker. The Coast Guard ranks returned to the river location and looked for the suspects, which was futile. They then made contact with the police and told them about their discovery of the narcotics. The narcotic was taken to Central Police Station, marked and lodged. The suspected narcotic was weighed and amounted to 135 pounds. The boat and engine are presently at the Coast Guard base. Investigations are ongoing. Police investigating serious accident on Sdik Lyon Highway. Police are investigating a serious accident that occurred around 1930 HRS on Tuesday evening on the Sdik Lyon Highway. The collision resulted in one person being hospitalized with a fractured backbone. The accident involved two motorcars. Motorcar number PAB 1807, owned and driven by Cian Sagon, a 40-year-old resident of Yarrowcabra Village, Sdik Lyon Highway. Motorcar number PYY 6817, owned and driven by Michael Major, a 26-year-old resident of Silver Hill, Sdik Lyon Highway, with Joel Howell, a 23-year-old from Amelia's Ward, Linden, as the occupant. According to initial inquiries, motorcar number PAB 1807 was traveling south along the eastern side of the highway when motorcar number PYY 6817, which was proceeding in the same direction, attempted to overtake it. During the overtaking maneuver, the vehicles collided, causing injuries to both drivers and the occupant. All injured individuals were extracted from their vehicles and transported by police to the Diamond Hospital. Major and Howell received treatment and were subsequently released. Cian Sagon, the driver of motorcar number PAB 1807, was referred to the Georgetown Public Hospital, where he was admitted with a fractured backbone. The police investigation into the accident is ongoing. WDRH NICU staff recognized for saving lives of two premature babies. Recognition is being given to the dedicated staff of the WDRH Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, NICU, for their successful efforts in saving the lives of two premature babies. Narissa Dwerica, just 17 days old, is finally leaving the NICU after being delivered at 33 weeks, weighing 1.8 kilograms. Narissa received critical care for respiratory distress, including CPAP support for 8 days. She also underwent antibiotic therapy, blood transfusions, and tube feeding until her mother could feed her. Toshana Lake, 26 days old, was delivered at 32 weeks at home and transported to the WDRH NICU. Toshana required more intensive support, being placed on a ventilator for 9 days. She also received antibiotic therapy and was tube-fed for 10 days until she could begin feeding normally. The dedication and expertise of the WDRH NICU staff have made a profound difference in the lives of these two babies and their families, showcasing their commitment to providing exceptional care to the most vulnerable patients. Trial concerning 2020 election fraud faces delays over evidence disputes. The trial concerning alleged fraud in the 2020 general and regional elections encountered significant delays on its third day, primarily due to issues surrounding the admissibility of evidence and the accuracy of court records. These complications led to an abrupt adjournment. The hearing began on Wednesday with a heated exchange between lawyers over the admissibility of evidence and the mention of names of individuals who are not defendants in the case. Darshan Ramdhani, KC, made 3 submissions to the court to address these issues before presiding Magistrate Laron Daly. Despite hours of arguments, no immediate resolution was reached. Ramdhani's concerns arose from an earlier proceeding where a section of evidence provided by Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Sonia Parag, was struck out. This was due to Parag mentioning an individual not involved in the case. Ramdhani requested Parag be recalled to testify without implicating anyone not on trial, a decision on which Magistrate Daly said she would rule as the trial progresses. Defense attorney Yussi Anderson objected to any ruling without the magistrate first allowing him to address the request. Further complicating matters, the prosecution sought clarity on the magistrate's process of noting evidence. There was uncertainty about whether the magistrate's notes reflected all aspects of the witness's testimony. Magistrate Daly explained that not all evidence was recorded by her since some parts could not be admitted. While the entire trial is being video recorded, there was uncertainty whether these recordings could serve as official records. The prosecution highlighted discrepancies, noting 40 instances where vital evidence was not included in the magistrate's notes. To resolve this, the magistrate offered the prosecution the option to compare the court notes with the video recordings and identify the missing evidence, a process expected to take time. Despite efforts to resolve the issues immediately, the court went into recess. Both the prosecution and defense attorneys then met with the magistrate in her chambers to discuss the matter further. Upon resuming, the magistrate informed those present, including the defendants, that she needed additional time to review the challenges raised. Consequently, the case was adjourned to Monday, August 5. 9 individuals are on trial for electoral fraud, including former APNU plus AFC government minister Volda Lawrence, former GECOM chief elections officer Keith Lowenfield, former GECOM returning officer for District 4 Claremont Mingo, former GECOM deputy chief election officer Roxanne Myers, APNU plus AFC's chief scrutineer Carol Smith Joseph, and former GECOM employees Sheffern February, Enrique Liven, Michelle Miller, and Denise Babb Cummings. They face 9 conspiracy charges, allegedly committed between March 2, 2020, and August 2, 2020. It is claimed that they conspired to defraud the electors of Guyana by declaring a false account of votes cast. Sonia Parag was the first witness to testify, detailing the delays, chaos, and subsequent legal actions following the declaration of results by Mingo. Rosalinda Rasul, an accredited observer with AMCOM during the elections, is the second witness, and her testimony will continue once the current challenges are addressed. The trial, anticipated to last 6 weeks, is expected to hear from a series of witnesses. Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation celebrates successful treatment of young gunshot victim. The Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, GPHC, proudly announces the successful surgical treatment and discharge of a 6-year-old girl who sustained a critical gunshot wound to her head on June 16, 2024. The bullet penetrated her left temporal region and lodged in the right temporal parietal region of her brain. The young patient was admitted to GPHC in critical condition following the tragic incident. Immediate surgical intervention was necessary, and our chief neurosurgeon, Dr. Amarnath Dukhi, led the initial life-saving surgery to stop the bleeding, stabilizing the child's condition. 3 days later, on June 19, 2024, Dr. Dukhi and his dedicated neurosurgery team performed a second surgery to remove the bullet lodged in her brain. Despite the low survival rates associated with head gunshot injuries, the meticulous care and expertise of Dr. Dukhi and his team ensured the successful outcome of both procedures. Following these surgeries, the young patient received continued care in our Pediatrics High Dependency Unit, HDU, and Pediatric Ward. Her condition improved steadily, and on July 18, 2024, she was discharged by the neurosurgery team. Today, July 30, 2024, we are delighted to report that the young patient is now back at home, on the path to a full recovery. This outcome underscores the critical role of advanced medical care in our neurosurgery department and the unwavering commitment of GPHC staff to saving lives, even in the most challenging circumstances. The Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation remains dedicated to advancing medical care and providing exceptional services to the people of Guyana. We extend our heartfelt thanks and commendation to the neurosurgery team for their excellent work and dedication to neurosurgical care nationally, and to the medical staff, the patient's family, and all those who supported this incredible journey to recovery for this 6-year-old child. Venezuela's president cuts ties with 7 countries amid election controversy. Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, has severed diplomatic relations with 7 countries following their condemnation of his alleged rigging of the country's Sunday, July 28 elections. The nations affected are Argentina, Chile, Costa Rica, Peru, Panama, the Dominican Republic, and Uruguay. These governments have expressed severe disapproval of the election results, alleging that the process was manipulated to ensure Maduro's continuation in power. The Maduro regime recently released a statement rejecting what it termed as interventionist actions and statements from these governments. The statement accused them of being subordinate to Washington and aligned with the ideological postulates of international fascism. It further criticized these nations for attempting to reconstitute the Lima Group, a coalition previously formed to address the Venezuelan crisis, in an effort to undermine the electoral outcome. On Sunday, despite a reported 30% defeat by opposition presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez, Maduro was declared the winner of the presidential elections, securing his position for another term running from 2025 to 2031. There were several reports of soldiers storming polling stations to remove ballot boxes, leading to unrest in the country. The results have sparked significant international controversy, with many countries questioning the legitimacy of the electoral process. In response to these criticisms, the Venezuelan government has recalled its diplomatic personnel from the aforementioned countries and demanded that their representatives leave Venezuelan territory immediately. The statement from the Venezuelan government also highlighted its intent to confront any actions that threaten the nation's peace and coexistence. The administration condemned what it views as persistent interventionist and harassing statements aimed at disregarding the will of the Venezuelan people. International reaction to Venezuela's severing of diplomatic ties has been mixed. Supporters of Maduro's government have praised the move as a necessary defense of national sovereignty. In contrast, Critics argue that it isolates Venezuela further on the international stage and exacerbates the country's diplomatic isolation. The decision has significant implications for bilateral relations, trade, and cooperation between Venezuela and the affected countries. The severance of diplomatic ties is expected to have immediate repercussions on citizens of these nations residing in or traveling to Venezuela. Consular services, including visa processing, assistance to nationals, and bilateral trade discussions, are likely to be disrupted. Moreover, this move may prompt other countries to reconsider their diplomatic stance towards Venezuela, potentially leading to a broader re-evaluation of international relations with the Maduro administration. Senior Minister of Finance presents over $40 billion in financial papers to National Assembly. Today, Senior Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Ashni Singh, presented financial papers numbers 1 and 2 of 2024 to the National Assembly, amounting to over $40 billion. Financial paper number 1 includes supplementary estimates, current, of $8.6 billion for advances from the contingency fund for the period from April 1, 2024, to July 30, 2024. Financial paper number 2 includes supplementary estimates, current and capital, of $32.2 billion for the period ending December 31, 2024. A significant portion of the budget is allocated to the electricity sector, with $16 billion being sought for the Guyana Power and Light, GPL. This includes $4 billion under Financial Paper 1 and a $12 billion supplementary request under Financial Paper 2. President Dr. Irfan Ali announced that the government would absorb the impact of rising fuel prices on electricity services to prevent higher costs for citizens. Additionally, $1.1 billion is allocated to support electricity companies in Linden, Lethem, Mabaruma, and Matthews Ridge. The government has implemented several measures to mitigate rising fuel costs, including removing the excise tax on fuel since March 2022, resulting in annual savings of over $80 billion for citizens. In May 2024, 36 megawatts of power were added to the national grid through an agreement with the Turkish company Karpowership. In the agriculture sector, $9.5 billion is allocated to the Guyana Sugar Corporation, GSUCO, as part of efforts to revitalize the sugar industry. The government is also seeking $2.3 billion to settle outstanding payments owed to suppliers of goods and services to various government agencies over the years. In the infrastructure sector, $1.6 billion is allocated to the Ministry of Public Works for Sea and River Defense Works, $297.4 million to support the operations of the Transport and Harbors Department, $159.2 million for the completion of the Bartica Stelling, and $680.5 million for critical upgrades to ferry vessels. Additionally, $904 million is allocated for the construction and rehabilitation of hinterland roads, and $600 million is designated for infrastructure to ensure the supply of water to remote communities. These financial papers reflect the government's ongoing commitment to improving critical sectors such as electricity, agriculture, and infrastructure while addressing outstanding financial obligations to suppliers. New Family Violence Bill passed in the House. A new bill designed to replace the 1996 Domestic Violence Act was passed in the House today, introducing widespread changes to address the evolving realities of family violence. One of the standout features of the bill empowers police officers to enter premises without a warrant to render urgent assistance to victims. Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Dr. Vindhya Prasad, explained, "You do need a warrant to enter premises, and you do need a warrant to arrest, but this bill removes some of that. Without a warrant, the police may enter any premise for the purpose of rendering assistance." The bill also places greater scrutiny on police actions in handling such cases. Police officers are now required to take all reports of family violence seriously and can no longer dismiss complaints or attempt to reconcile the parties involved. Each report must be submitted to a senior officer within 48 hours, who will then decide whether to charge the perpetrator. The officer compiling the report must include evidence and detailed actions taken by the police during the investigation. Dr. Prasad emphasized that the bill benefited from extensive input from civil society and stakeholders, aiming to provide more comprehensive protection for victims. A key change in the bill is the shift in terminology from domestic violence to family violence, broadening the law's applicability to include all forms of violence within a family, not just between intimate partners. If we look at the Domestic Violence Act, it spoke to violence occurring between two persons at an interpersonal level, more so at an intimate level, and did not take into account the violence that could occur within the family, she said. The bill was developed after a year of consultations and was influenced by recommendations from a research paper conducted through the Spotlight Initiative, a United Nations program aimed at ending violence against women and girls. The bill also drew from both local and international laws to identify and address gaps. This bill brings a lot of hope to people across the length and breadth of this country. It brings hope to people living in the far recesses of this country. It is catering to the adjusting or dynamic needs of people when we talk about violence and how violence occurs, Dr. Prasad underscored.